Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. Another weekly installment of Hot Toys unboxing discussion, whatever, and so forth, and such, and as is, whatever is and was and should be or would be or even could be, impossible, improbable, possible, or probably. See if I can get into the video here. By the way, I'm sure you all seen Nebula dropped yesterday, and Big Bad Toy Store sold out on its pre-orders pretty quickly in a handful of hours. Sideshow still has it available for pre-order with a security deposit. Thanos and Iron Man Mark 85 are still available for pre-order. Somebody posted a War Machine Mark 6, but I'm pretty sure it's fake news. I've searched the Hot Toys site and I don't see it anywhere, and it doesn't really look like what I would expect the Mark 6 to look like. Should it be the Mark 6? So I'm fathoming that it's not a real Hot Toys announcement. Plus, what are they on? Shouldn't it be the Mark 5 up next? What's this one? This is the Mark 3 Infinity Wars 4. So they should be on Mark 5, not Mark 6. So I think it's fake news. I don't believe it's what really is going on. And let's see what else is going on. I'm working on my so I rearranged my top shelf here, and so I guess let me tell you what's going on. We pay a housekeeper to come to the house and sweep up about once or twice a month, and so of course sometimes we have a housekeeper that will be the same housekeeper for many months. Sometimes it'll be a different housekeeper every single week, or every single visit, and it's always like, don't touch the Hot Toys, don't touch them, don't go near them. This section of the entire room is shut off. Just stop, don't even come any closer, do not pass go, do not collect $200. And so anyhow, I had my Hawkeye I think that's which one it is. Out with an arrow and ready to go, and the arrow was missing, and so of course I was like, it must have fallen off. Couldn't find it anywhere. I tore the room apart looking for this arrow. I mean, I took everything down, moved everything, looked under all the shelves. I literally disassembled the room and then rebuilt the room looking for that arrow. Gone. So I'm assuming what it was, it had fallen off of his bow as it was notched and got swept up and thrown away with the trash by someone who wasn't familiar with what it was. So I'd been really angry for a year and a half, maybe, because I didn't have that arrow. And it's Neo. He comes with what, like 16 arrows or something, but it was one of the unusual arrowheads, so I didn't have it, and that kind of bothered me. So I happened to be perusing eBay site, and somebody was selling their entire Hawkeye Age of Ultron arrow set. So I bought it specifically just for that one arrowhead that I had lost, and so now I have that arrowhead and I have a bunch of these, thank goodness. So So now I can lose another one should I want to. So, I'll tell you what I decided to do then after putting his arrow head back together and giving it to him and making him complete. I also had this little miniature Ant-Man that I got, I believe from 1/6 Kit. I don't remember if that's where I got it from or not. I think it is. And if you remember in Captain America Civil War, there was a scene where he fired him onto Tony. And if I bought that Hawkeye, I think it comes with that little Ant-Man, and I did not buy that Hawkeye. So I have, pardon me when I shove food in my face. So, a couple things I want to show you is I have that little miniature Ant-Man right there. I don't know if you guys can see him. I glued him onto one of the extra arrowheads that I had. And also, after getting ready to pose Clint here, I was thinking, you know, I could pose him this way, you know, the front way, which is fine and all. But truthfully, this is what I want to show off. I want to show this off. This, all of this, this. You know, when he's facing this way, you don't get to see really his arrow collection. It's gone, it's missing, it's not there. And he's got a lot of neat arrows. So I decided to literally turn him around on his figure stand and pose him backwards. So that's how he stands now on the shelf as such. And I think that was pretty clever of me. Pretty clever indeed. And where I put him on the shelf is right over Captain America's shoulder, facing right at Iron Man, right in front of Ant-Man. So I've got all the little Ant-Men there, and Clint is shooting at Iron Man. That's what I did. So the other thing was, as I was moving these around, and I now have the 4 Chitaris, and decided to pose one of them with his mask off. So by the way, he's holding his mask, because we see that in one of the scenes where they're all screaming and Hulk screams back at him, or vice versa. I forget who screams first. Who shot first? Guido or Han? Han, of course. So he's now holding his mask, and his mask is a little differently shaped than what it was in the movie, because I think it was just a little piece. That's fine. Gets the... Anyhow, when I was putting my little guys up, knock these off, and this Chitauri fell off, so that's what you see on the table there was me putting him back together. And for the life of me, I could not get that hand to go onto that arm. I kept shoving it on, shoving it on, shoving it on, shoving it on. It just wasn't going anywhere. And I had the hand, and there was actually flashing that was up inside that hand. And I just put a pair of tweezers in there and pulled all this muck out of the hole inside the hand. Just pulled it right out. And it's part of the flashing material, I imagine, from the creation of that hand. And as soon as I pulled that out, the hand went straight on. And with no difficulty, and it stays on as opposed to. So I thought that was interesting. I hadn't ever thought to look inside a hand for flashing like this, but this was inside the hand, a piece of the hand. I just pulled it out with a pair of tweezers. And then, of course, the whole helmet came off and just splattered into 4 pieces, because the centerpiece actually came off from the outside piece, which is not supposed to be glued on. So I just re-glued that and then snapped these 2 outer pieces on. If you guys have this piece, you know how much of a hassle this helmet is. It really is a hassle. I mean, it's a real hassle. It's a pain in the butt, is what it is, to tell you the truth. The gun is too. It's really a difficult figure to mess with. He fell off. Had to get him going back together again. Put him back on the shelf there. Too. So I got 2 Chitauri Commanders and 2 Chitauri Warriors. So the collection's growing. How are you guys doing? Dan, how you doing? NM Red 21, hello, welcome to the channel. Did I PO Thanos and Mark 85 and Nebula? I did not, and I plan on it. I'm so super stoked about Nebula, really am. I was hoping to get it Big Bad Toy Store before it sold out, because they don't require down payment, and so by the time I had a chance to get onto the Big Bad Toy Store site, it sold out. So now, of course, the other site has a down payment which is required. Big Bad Toy Store and on that's $300 to so $80 for Mark 85, $80 for Thanos, Nebula down payment. So that's $2 to get until the year 2020, and $400 for Thanos. It's just so yeah, and I have not yet. This game Nebula, jeez, it's about doggone time. I've been for a long time. I forget the actress's name. Jillian keeps coming to my mind for some reason. Is her name Jillian? What's her name? But she's been deserving one. This is her third movie that she's been in. So she's been deserving one for a long time. I love her character. What an amazing life. I've put everything like that I don't know how to manage, but I throw stuff on there. Wish I knew how to let you guys be able to post stuff on there too, because I would like that. And I'd like to have maybe someone admin it. That'd be great, but I don't know how that. So, anyhow, if you've seen those likenesses on that head sculpt, holy cow, what an amazing job JC Hong's crew has done over there at Hot Toys division that does the head sculpting. Sheesh. I am just absolutely stoked on that. And it's another one of those where it's like, how many do you get? Do you get just one? Do you get two? You know? I don't have a Drax still. I'd like to get 2 Drax, one from each of the Guardians of the Galaxy. There's one Drax, and he has comes with 2 pairs of pants, which you almost need 2 of them to make a complete. Just like, you know, Red Skull, you know, or some of the other ones, Spider-Man. You almost need to buy 2 of them in order to be able to tell the whole story. You need a Spider-Man Homecoming and a Spider-Man from Captain America Civil War. Exact same suit. Same suit. But one of them you would put maybe his blazer on, you know what I mean? And the other one he'd be, you know, with his helmet on, his face mask, the other one with just his head sculpt. So, here's another reason $20 coupon code for Sideshow. Thank you. I will take that. I'm assuming then that everyone can use that. I hope so, right? Anytime I've ever tried to use a Sideshow coupon, they don't work worth a hoot for me. And I don't know what the deal is with that. I've never been able to have a Sideshow coupon that was worthwhile to me. So, you know, just for convenience for myself, I buy everything from Big Bad Toy Store. It just makes it easier. So when I missed out on this one, I was like, are you kidding me? I surely did. I guess I expected it to sell out, because, come on, how long have we been begging for Nebula? You know what I mean? Since at least the second movie. Some of us probably from the first movie, but at least the second movie for fact, right? Green Weeaboo, welcome. Starting to think that my notification bell's broken or YouTube's not bothering on letting me know when your next discussion video is. YouTube does that. I don't know what their deal is, man. They like to punish people, and I think I'm on the top of their punishment list. So no, they don't. I don't get a lot of notifications either. Like, there are people that I love to watch, and I'll be like, how come I haven't heard anything from them? And I'll search through my subscriber list, and they would have had 20 videos they've uploaded since the last time I got a notification, and I'm like, what in the world? How did I not get notified of these videos? So that's what happens every now and again, and so thank you very much. It's good seeing you, man. So one thing that I've decided to do on my Kidpool kid. No, it's not the Deadpool kid. That's the cowboy kid, Deadpool. As I was looking at these hands, and do you guys have enough light on these figures? Let me give you some light. As I was looking at these hands that came with this suit, and I was going to put the little black on them, and decided that I don't want to use those hands now. I decided I wanted to use the Lady Deadpool hands. I think they work better. So that is what I'm doing now. And I'll show you, for instance, that in my opinion, they're the same size. So the red one here on the bottom is the hand that came with this figure, and the top one, the darker red one, is the Lady Deadpool hand. So I think that's, you guys can see that hopefully. So they're like identical in size. So I decided to go ahead and use my Lady Deadpool hands for my kid Deadpool. But, and I'm still at this dilemma. I don't like this red. Now, it works, but I don't like it. And I like it even less now with the hands on there from Lady Deadpool. I need to figure out how to make that suit that dark color. I was discussing with my wife, and what I think I might probably do, and I want you guys' opinions on this, is I think I'm going to get some of that dye, was it Rit dye, and like a black, and just dilute it. I mean, super dilute it, and just like dip this whole suit, because I put the suit on the body because it's interchangeable, different suits. I could just take this suit off and just dip the whole suit in there just for a second, just to darken it. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you know of any other way to possibly darken this to get it to be, you know, this color red or this color red instead of this bright red that it is? And I don't know if you guys seen the belt. There's the belt. Another thing I needed to do on this figure, and I'm really excited about this figure, I really like how it turned out, is I need to get something for something black to go around this neck, and I need to tighten the suit up about this much here. The suit needs to be tightened up like that, and I'm going to probably build up or something on this neck. I don't know what I'm going to do with that neck. I'm not pleased with the neck. I've got a lot of material here that I need to do something with, and I'm thinking about just cutting it right here where this black is on both sides, and just cutting that red totally out or something, because when I pinch it together and pinch those blacks together, it seems to be right about the size that I want it to be for him. And then of course I'm going to glue to his chest, after that's all said and done, this. That'll go right there in the middle of that chest. So any thoughts on darkening this suit? Oh, and these little guys here, I'm going to paint the handles silver, or I know I definitely am going to paint the handles silver, no doubt about it. But these little lightsabers that came with the Gentle Giant uh, Deadpool, Kidpool bust that I used for this, straight out as such. So that's what they actually are, by the way, in case you're curious. And this is like, I don't know, it's like a little handle from any type of utensil. So at one point I was thinking, well, instead of just painting these, because I had to totally grind off those hands on that, I was thinking maybe I could find like a little 1/6 scale, something, some little handle like that. I don't know, like a yard tool or something. I don't know how hard that would be. And then I was like, nah, I'm not going to mess with that, because then I'd have to try to drill a hole this size and hope to try to get it straight when this already fits in here. So that's what that is. So I'm going to paint that. I started trying to score it to put the little lines are in it, but I was like, nah, what's the point? It's going to be in his hand here. You're not really going to be able to see the lines as such. So I think the lines in the handle, the little ridges in the handle, work as it is. And how I'm posing him is with this stand here under his armpits. So I'm just spreading it out, sticking it in his armpits here, and then actually turning him just a bit so he's not directly on his armpits. You notice that the stand's actually coming in this manner, so he's kind of at an angle how he stands on it. And then I decided to put his little head pool friend there as well. So that's my kid Deadpool progress that he's been going on over the last few weeks. Let's see, what do we got going on here? Nova, how you doing, man? So have any of you guys already gotten your Infinity War Thanos? And or did you get the notification that it's shipping soon? Because that's what someone else had told me. I have not been notified yet that it's shipping soon. But someone else told me that they got the notification that Infinity War Thanos is shipping soon. So the figures that I haven't received yet are Hulkbuster 2, waiting on that, Mark 50, Killmonger, Black Panther, the Neon Black Panther. So what else has come out that I haven't gotten yet? So these are all these figures that are like coming and just haven't come yet to me. And it's making me crazy, because I hate when they just like all drop at one time. Thousands of dollars, man. In the world, who's got that kind of money just laying around to spend all the time? You know, 1 or 2 figures a month, tops. That's what it should be. Like 1 figure a month would be fine. We're getting slaughtered, man. We're absolutely getting slaughtered. It's difficult to keep up. So I don't know what you guys want to talk about. It's pretty much everything I got going on. I've opened up every figure that I have had sent to me. Oh, I'll tell you another thing that was going on was so I have in my other room, I've got like my little diorama setup of them. So I have like the Mark II. I've put it into the gantry. It's actually the Mark II. What's it called? Ultimate. Help me out. The one that has all the little break apart pieces on it. The Armor Unleashed. So I have my Mark II Armor Unleashed in my gantry. My Mark III, I have him posed up against Ironmonger. My Mark IV, I have him in the gantry. My Mark V, I actually have here. I don't have shelf space to put my Mark V. I sure would. I've got enough of them. I'd like to display them properly. And then I have my Mark VI with my War Machine Mark I, the original War Machine, posed up against Whiplash 2. And then at the top of the shelf, and because you guys have seen all this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, I also have a Mark VI in the Avengers diorama. gantry. On the top of the shelf is my Age of Ultron grouping of Avengers with Ultron and everybody, but I don't have Vision there because I only have one Vision. I need to get another Vision, but I've got Vision's the only one I don't have up there. Anyhow, told you all that. I'll tell you this: my Mark 43. I was looking up at him. I didn't like how he was sitting there, and I was like, let me mess with him a little bit. So, you start moving his legs, and he's in a flying pose, and he's got his arm out, and I don't like how his arm was out, and I was like, he needs to have more of an exaggerated repulsor hand to be able to blast Ultron. So, start messing with his arm, and next thing you know, the arm pops off, and then I'm looking at the hand, and I come out to my little box here, and I pull out my Mark 43 box, and there was no hands in it. And I'm like, well, what in the world's going on here? So then I checked the Mark 42 box, and all of it was just gold and red hands. And I started saying to myself, was the Mark 43 a gold and red hand? I couldn't even remember anymore what all of them were. So I was like, no, Mark 42 is the gold and red hands, the Mark 43 is the red hand. I literally had to go pull it up and look and see what it is. So what I ended up having to do was go through all of my collections of finding all the hands that are red, which happen to be, by the way, for your information, Mark 3, Mark 4, Mark 6, Mark 7, and Mark 43 are all the same hand. Mark 3, Mark 4, Mark 6, Mark 7, and Mark 43. All the same hand. Identical. And so, evidently, at one point, I had, for whatever insane reason, put all my hands into the Mark 7 box. So my Mark 7 had, like, 16 hands in it. And I was like, okay, those don't all belong to the Mark 7. So then I had to lay them all out and figure out, okay, here's two fists, two fists, two fists, two fists, two fists. And so I found my Mark 43 hands. But isn't that funny? I didn't realize that the Mark 43 hands were the exact same hands as 3, 4, 6, 7. The 5 is definitely different, and the die-cast 3 is different. But all the other hands are pretty much interchangeable. Maybe the 3 had a different back. So maybe it's just the 4, 6, 7, and 43. I don't remember now. Let me look. So what's this one? This is the, here's the 3. Okay, so the 3 hands is different. The 3 is different. But the 4, 6, 7, and 43 are all the same hand. Yeah, the 3 hand is different. 4, 6, 7, and 43, all the same hand. In case you ever needed more hands or to move your hands around, exact same hand. What do you think about the new Neon Tech 2.0? It's funny. First thing that came to my mind was, are you freaking kidding me? So the first Neon Tech we didn't ask for. And I'm glad to have it. I have it, and I like it. It's neat. I don't have any way of shining any UV light on it. So, because I haven't gotten my Black Panther yet from Hot Toys, which comes with the UV light, and they decided not to give us the UV light with the Neon Tech Iron Man, which they should have. Hello? You know what I mean? So, I don't even know what it looks like. Like the Thor, same thing. The Thor is supposed to light up his eyes or something. I have no idea if they do or not. I bought some UV lights. I didn't notice any difference, and evidently there's like 300 different heats or signatures or variations on UV lights, and if you don't get the right one, it's not going to light it up, and what a hassle. So I'm just waiting for the Black Panther to come out with that. So when I seen the Mark 6, and if you remember, the Mark 4 and the Mark 6 are identical except for the chest reactor, and that's it. The chest is the only difference between the 4 and the 6 color scheme. So essentially what they've done was they've taken these that they've already had painted black and just put the different arc reactor and the chest piece on him and put the yellowish orange stripes on it. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, come on, give me a freaking break. And it falls into the category, am I going to buy it? Of course I am. Of course I am. What the hell is wrong with me? But do I need it or want it? I don't know. So I was trying to figure out why they chose that, and it was really interesting what somebody posted up on one of the groups. And I thought this was pretty cool. So they showed up on one side, you know, the blue Neon Tech Mark IV, and on the right side was the yellowish orange Neon Tech 2.0 Mark VI, and below that was the Tron from the movie, and on the one right below the Neon Tech Mark IV was the good guy Blue Tron, and on the right side was the bad guy, the yellowish orange Tron. And I was like, ah, okay, that makes sense, because of course, you know, even I joked about the first Neon Tech Iron Man being a Tron Iron Man. I think everyone has said that or thought of that. And sure enough, Mark VI is the other Tron Iron Man. And you know, I gotta tell you, that was how I first heard about Hot Toys, was that Tron light cycle. I didn't buy one, but when I seen that, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Look how beautiful this thing is. It's an amazing piece. If you guys happen to own that Tron light cycle, bravo to you. And if you've never seen it, look it up. It's amazing, especially if you're even just a remote fan of either of the Tron movies. I was happy to see the second Tron movie. It was kind of so-so, and kind of, I think it kind of fell, I think it kind of suffered from the same thing that the very first Star Trek movie suffered from. Star Trek the Motion Picture. A whole lot of special effects, not a whole lot of story. You know what I mean? There's more special effects than there was story, and the movie was totally dependent upon the special effects. And I think that was kind of the wrong way of going about it. So, but anyhow, it would be neat then if somebody were to be so brazen to take one of those light cycles and totally do it away from the blue and make it into the yellow for the Neon Tech Mark VI. God, that would be insane. I don't even know how much those light cycles are. I can't imagine they're cheap. I mean, they're like over 10 years old or something like that. So they must be worth some change easily. And I did see someone that had posed their Neon Tech Mark IV with the light cycle, and it looked really good. So when I seen that image of the Tron beneath them with the two light cycles racing side by side with the two Iron Mans on top of them, I was like, yeah, that's what it is. That's why they did that. Are you guys going to get it? What's your thoughts? I'm thinking of getting the Mark 50, which will be my first Hot Toys. Do you recommend it? Yeah. The problem with the Mark 50 is it's overpriced and not many accessories. But it is what it is. So I hate whenever they do that. And it doesn't have the accessory that we want, which is the I don't know what you call him, when he's going up against the Black Order guys, and forgive me, I don't remember their names. And with Doctor Strange there, and Bruce isn't turning into the Hulk, and out pops these two little things on each side, these extra, blasts. We don't get that. And the only way to get the accessories with the Mark 50 is to buy the accessory pack for $250 or whatever it is. And I don't think you're going to go wrong with getting one. It's definitely a cool figure. Welcome to the hobby. Be prepared in every half of these. Mark 50 is a heck of a piece to start with. I will say, your first Hot Toys, for some reason, will always be to some degree your favorite. My first one really was the Mark 17 Heartbreaker, and it just holds a special place in my heart always, for whatever reason. It's a cool figure, but whenever someone asks what's your favorite one, for some reason that one always comes to the top of my mind, even though it's not necessarily my absolute favorite. But because it was my first, it always pops in there as, what's your favorite figure? Well, one of them would have to be the Mark 17 Heartbreaker, but I don't think it's my favorite because it's necessarily a superb figure, which it's a cool figure, but just because it was my first one. So that's a good one to start with, and it is. It's an expensive piece. But heck, you can't go wrong with any hot toy that you buy. Even ones that are not even like these commanders and warriors that I own. You know, I'm constantly having the fess with them, and they're difficult to pose, and they're made out of PVC plastic, and they're not a real popular or favorite figure, and you still buy them and make a new at toy store and other retail outlets. But it's still a great figure, and if you're looking for figures to catch up to where you are now, getting past figures, Big Bad Toy Store has a sale on a lot of the hot toy figures that you pay full price for it, but then they'll give you a kickback of 75 or 125 or 150. I think one of them is like 200 bucks. They actually, you know, give you money back on after paying for the figure that you can use to purchase another figure. So, for instance, I bought Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2. I forget which movie it was from. One of the Spider-Man movies. It cost me 50 bucks. That was all said and done because of the rebates on buying the Chitauri Commander and Warriors. So the Mandarins that way. I think you got the Silver Centurion. I think just finally sold out. I think Hulkbuster, Heartbreaker is still there. So you have all these pieces that are been out for a couple of years that are absolute steal because there's a rebate on them through Big Bad Toy Store. It gives you an opportunity to get older figures at a really good price. I'm dying here, Hot Toys. Yeah, Noble, I'm with you, man. That was the exact same thing that I was thinking too. It's like, dude, it's enough. Enough already. When I seen that War Machine Mark 6 that someone had posted, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? But then I was relieved to see that there's no mention of it anywhere on any Hot Toys site. So I was like, yeah, that's fake news. Thank God. But it's coming. You know it's coming. And it would be the Mark 5 would be the one that would come out next, I would believe. I just bought Captain Phasma from BBTS. What do you think of that figure? One thing I never understood was who was Captain Phasma? You know, I kind of was thinking it was kind of like somebody, and they, if I remember correctly, didn't they kill that person or something? And they didn't really reveal who it was or what was the big deal, why they were wearing the chrome armor and all. I understand the whole thing, but man, I bet that's a good looking figure. You know, that's the beautiful thing about Hot Toys is they will make whatever it is that you are into in these, in regards to that, a whole slew of them. I don't even know how many stormtroopers there are. Maybe 100? If you take into consideration Sideshow's stormtroopers. So you could get, if you bought all the Sideshow stormtroopers and all the Hot Toys stormtroopers, I don't even know how many there are. I literally believe there's like 100 stormtroopers. And I mean, that's what I have. I've got 100-something collection here, about 100 figures, and you can just go to town all day long. And that's the problem, you know, when you're spending between, what did Nebula sell for? $225 or something, $235. I don't remember. And that's the bottom of the line now. That's the base price for a Hot Toy figure. And there's no limit as to what the top price would be. You know, like Hulkbuster over here, $1,200 or more. The cars, like the DeLorean and the Batmobiles, you know, well over $1,000. There's no limit as to how high they'll go. The die-cast ones are averaging about $450 now or more. The nicer Hot Toys are around $300 and something with more accessories. So, you know, and the room required to be able to store these. I mean, if you got 100 stormtroopers plus all the Obi-Wans and Luke Skywalker's and the Darth Vaders and all the astromechs and all that, how can you possibly collect everything that Star Wars does, everything that Marvel does, the entire DC universe line, the Predators, and then all the little side franchises that they make, like Back to the Future and The Matrix and these one-offs like Pirates of the Caribbean and aliens, and you know, these pieces that never go anywhere but just that one. You could, there's something for everybody. And I wish that I had the money and the room to do the Star Wars, as I would do the same thing. Although I'm sick and tired of Star Wars, what they've done with it. It's just really just a real insult to me what they've done with Star Wars. And I don't even know if I want to see this next movie. I probably won't, just because I'm tired of Star Wars, and I can't believe I say that because I've been a Star Wars fan since the first movie came out. I was in sixth grade when the first movie came out, and of course, you know, everybody had to go see the first movie when it came out back then, and I've been there all along. And now it's like they don't care about me. Why should I care about them? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, Captain Phasma. I bet that's a beautiful piece. $150 back of store credit. There you go. See? So what it ended up costing you? Like $50, maybe? 100 at tops. So I mean, you can't go wrong there. You get a figure that is well over $200. Use that thing. If you collect Marvel Select, if you collect, you know, King Arts or anything, if you anything that, that they sell there at Big Bad Toy Store, you can use it for that. You don't have to use it for a hot toy. You can use it on anything at all. So it's a store credit, and it's a good way of looking at it. You know, the only reason I bought the Electro, and it was a decision that helped me make to buy the Mandarin. I'd wanted the Mandarin for a long time. It really torqued me off how they handled him. I mean, it was really, that was bad writing. They really just you know, built up this giant thing, and then we get the little teasers afterwards. All Hail the King or something like that, Marvel little short movie they made, and then in the Ant-Man movie we see the guy with the 10 rings tattooed on his neck. So there still looks like they're going on there. I don't know what. Maybe they're going to eventually get that all straightened out and give Ben Kingsley's character a new life, because the Mandarin really is a bad dude and he really needs to be treated as such, and he wasn't Killian. Killian's not the Mandarin. You know, sorry, that didn't happen. There's no way. Well, I believe that Killian was the Mandarin. That goes against all logical thinking as far as I'm concerned. $250, so there you go. $100 for Captain Phasma. Yeah, you can't go wrong there. Brand new. You can't even buy it from eBay for that. You know what I'm saying? So that's, you know, definitely if you're new to collecting, or if you haven't gotten these pieces, or you want extras of them, go get them. Take advantage of the kickback on that. Essentially, you could buy all of them. You would just pay full price on the first one and just keep rolling the credit over onto something else. Lack of accessories for, yes, on the Mark 50, but the price will only increase. I've been looking at Hot Toys for a while since the Mark 7 plastic, and I kept waiting to the point where they are $400 plus, right? Using credit another, there you go, using another Hot Toys. So there are some figures that don't go up. That's the fact of it. And there are some figures that go up and then come down later for whatever reason. I don't know why they drop. I can't imagine the popularity being so much so that at one moment they're a rage. They'll be expensive, like, for instance, the Neon Tech Mark IV. Okay, when that first came out, at the time right before San Diego Comic-Con last year, it was released to the worldwide market, international market, but not here in the United States. And so you had to go, from my understanding, in Asia, in order to purchase a hot toy, you have to jump through like 28 hoops, stand in line for like 16 hours or something insane like that, you know, to be able to get it. It's not as easy as just click and buy like we can do here on the Western side of things. And so whenever you end up buying one from that part of the country, from somebody who's gone through all that hassle, and then they have to ship it to you, it ends up being a little more expensive than what you would pay for it here. So there's advantages of getting it from somebody that will do that for you in that part of the world, because you'll get it sooner than you will if you have to wait from Sideshow or Big Bad Toy Store. But you're going to pay for it All right. So when the Neon Tech Iron Man Mark IV came out, and it said for select markets only, normally, even though that was the case, an item like that would have been available at San Diego Comic Con, and it was not. And I contacted Sideshow. I called them up. I'm like, what's going on with the Neon Tech Iron Man Mark IV? It says it's for select markets. You guys are an exclusive distributor, so I assume that means it's going to be for you guys. What's the story? Sideshow specifically told me that they would not be getting the Neon Tech Iron Man Mark IV. So I bought it from one of my viewers and from the Asian market, and I paid through the nose for it. But I agreed to the price. It was a fair price for what I figured at the time, and I wanted the figure, and I just knew for fact because Sideshow told me it wasn't anybody. So, I mean, I was literally talking to Sideshow representative at Sideshow, told me that they would not be getting it. Hot Toys told them they would not be having it in their ability to be sold from Sideshow. So it was the only way I could get it. So I had to pay what I had to pay, and I was very pleased to get it. And I had it for, I don't know, a couple months, and then Sideshow decided to sell it for $400 or whatever, which is a heck of a lot less expensive than what I paid for it. And it still is not worth what I paid for it. And that really, really burns me. But then there are figures like Spider-Man Homecoming. I bought it, obviously, when it came out, paid regular price for it, which I don't remember what it was, $300 or something. And now I think they're like $700 or something if you wanted to buy one of those. And I don't know if that figure will ever come down in price. It's hard to say. There are some figures that are always just seem to be worth a lot of money. So that's the gamble. You know, sometimes when you buy it new from Big Bad Toy Store or wherever, and the scalpers get them and start breaking them apart and whatever else, and next thing you know, you could in 6 months you could have bought it cheaper on eBay. And I don't understand how people are doing that, because they seem to be legitimate, straight up, real life Hot Toys. They don't seem to be knockoffs or anything like that. And so that kind of bothers me. Or Sideshow or Big Bad Toy Store or something will put it on sale, and then it's $100 less than what, like right now, $100 less than what you bought it for in the first place, because there's just so many of them that they didn't sell them all, and they're trying to get rid of them. But so there's always that give and take. So if I were to add up my entire collection, I would say I'm probably in the positive in regards to things, but not by much. It's not like I'm rolling in the bank here, and the odds of me selling my figures are pretty slim. I mean, I imagine one day they'll be sold, or I'll be dead, and they'll be given to, you know, family members for them to sell and live off of the inheritance of them. Because, but no, I think if I were to add them all up, the good and the bad, there would probably be a slight improvement. Definitely don't count on anything being like a 2-year investment. Like one guy had posted one time, he was saying, well, in 2 years' time, I didn't make any money. 2 years' time ain't nothing in the investment world. For instance, I have a 2010 Bumblebee Camaro. A Camaro made through Hasbro licensing. It has the Transformer emblems on it. It's limited edition Camaro. Came out in 2010. The car was $38,000 brand new, and right now the car is worth, I think, around $20,000 to $22,000. So it's decreased in price. All right, the car will be 10 years old this August, and I belong to a Camaro club, and there are multi-generations in this Camaro club. So there's guys in 1967, which was the first year the car came out, and there's, of course, guys that have the 2019s Camaros in the group. So we got them all. And they go down like this, and then they start coming up. And so the people that are experiencing the rise now are the 3rd and 4th gen Camaros, the ones from 1982 through 2002. They're on the way back up. So some of them are actually now worth the exact same price they were when you bought them. So, and we're talking a 2-year time frame or more for them to, after they dip down to where you could pick one up for like $500, to now they're costing $22,000. So same thing with my Camaro. It's on its way down. but then we're going to hope eventually in another 10 or so years it'll get back to where it's worth $38,000 or even more. And that's how that works. Same thing with your Hot Toys. Don't think that you're going to be able to purchase one and turn it around and sell it. You might get lucky. Like if I'd bought in half a dozen of those Spider-Man Homecomings, yeah, I would be able to sell each one of them right now for easily $600, I imagine, no problem, and make twice as much money on it. But that's rare. That's really rare. That's not how it works normally. So you end up getting a lot of figures that you have to sit on for a long time, and they may never go up in price. Like I don't know if my Vision will ever be worth anything than literally just a little bit more than what he was paid for. So there's not wrong to look at this as an investment, but it's also kind of wrong to expect it to be an investment. Collect it for the passion or because you want the figure. Don't collect it looking into making any money on it. If you make money on it, bravo, good job for you. If you don't get angry and don't, think, well, this is a stupid investment. It should never have been an investment in the first place. If it is, then it is. If it's not, it works. I caved and just pre-ordered Hot Toys Thanos and the Mark 80. Oh yeah, Ghost, good job, man. I've got to figure out my finances, man. I just my wife, we live paycheck to paycheck no matter. I think everybody does, no matter how much money you really make. Whether you're working at McDonald's or whether you're a vice president of a corporation, you pretty much spend whatever you make. You know what I mean? It's just that your expenses differ from what you have based off of what you have. So yeah, I've got to try to figure out how I'm going to find another $200 to be able to pre-order these pieces, and I really need to get onto that Nebula. Really want that Nebula. I don't want to pass it. I don't want to miss that one at all. But I think I'm probably safe on Thanos and the Mark 85. They've been sitting there for a week now, and that's not a good sign. So caution you guys, back to what we were just talking about a second ago. I don't think it would be a good idea to buy multiples of those thinking you're going to be able to sell them for $800 in 6 months. Hey, you might. I might be totally wrong. When the figures drop in next year or whenever they're supposed to come out, the collection or the desire for people to get those may go through the roof, and they might not be available then, and you might be able to sell them for $800 a piece. But the fact that they're still sitting on pre-order a week later is normally not a good sign. They should be a little difficult to get, and they're not. You can get them pretty much anywhere right now, and so that's a reassurance to me. I am going to get them. There's no doubt about that. I'll tell you that much. It's just a matter of when I'm going to be able to get them, and it's like part of the passion of the collection is chasing down the toys through sites like eBay or off of Facebook or other places where you'll find people that sell these. Like I need to get my Drax. I need to get Drax. I really want a Loki from Avengers. So what's another one that Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I really want a red suit and a black suit from there. I still haven't bought the Venom pieces, the Tom, what's his name? The new Venom pieces that are made by Very Cool, or I don't remember who's making, Bullethead, I think, is making them. Oh, have you seen the little Veronica that is available? I think it's 6 inches tall. Now, obviously, Veronica is a lot taller than 6 inches. But one of the things that they showed us with the Hulkbuster was that we were supposed to be getting a Veronica, and we never did. I don't think it comes with the accessory arm, but they were showing us a Veronica, and it was only like maybe 3 or 4 inches. But somebody is making now a 6-inch Veronica, and that was where all the Hulkbuster was stored. So it should be larger than 6 inches. it should probably be 2.5 feet easily, based off of the Hulkbuster, because Veronica not only was a full-on Hulkbuster story in there, all the extra pieces within there. Because remember, he blew up the arm, and they sent him another arm, and so all these other pieces are coming out of there too. So there had to have been at least 2 Hulkbusters in there in case they got that destroyed up. So it'd have to be big enough to be able to hold 2 Hulkbusters and whatever else. But I'm thinking about getting that Veronica too. There's so much. It's overwhelming. It's like I was talking to somebody a few weeks ago. They were saying, they were new into the collection and they couldn't wait for something. They wanted to know what else to buy because you get that way. I was the same way when I first started. I was like, oh, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. And I was like, hold on, dude, because they're about to drop. And they're going to drop hard when this movie comes out. I did get my movie. I'll be seeing it on the opening day on Thursday at 10 o'clock at night. Was the earliest I could get in there. It's crazy, man. So if you remember last Saturday when the Mark 85 and Thanos was announced on Hot Toys, I couldn't even get into the Hot Toys site to look at the images because everything was all mucked up. So here I am Monday trying to buy the tickets, or whatever day it was, Tuesday or whatever day it was, trying to buy tickets to Endgame. All day, man, locked up. Locked up. The internet was totally locked up. Jeez, what an amazing thing going on with all this. Yeah, you can still pre-order the Mark 50. Laugh out loud, I'm thinking of just keeping this as a centerpiece of my future collection. There you go. Hopefully I can manage to get the upcoming Iron Man figures if they make them. I don't think there's going to be an if. I think it's going to be a continuation. Hot Toys has a money maker here. The big question that I have, I'm a completist. And I don't know if if you've had an opportunity to see my collection. I've got every Iron Man suit, I believe, that they've made. Not every suit that they've ever made. There are a couple that I've passed on because they're identicals. They'll be like the Battle Damage Mark 7 and then the Mark 7, or the Battle Damage Mark 3 and then the Mark 3, or the Mark 3 Plastic and the Mark 3 diecast. But I've got representations of every Mark and multiples on some. But there's not all of them here. Now, there's a collector out there, his name is Terrence, who has fabricated the other suits based off of the pieces from the suits that have been released to make the other suits. And the ones he doesn't have is the Mark 16 Nightclub, and the Mark 37 Hammer head, because they're unique pieces. And there's a few suits that come from that he doesn't have either, because they require like a chest piece or an arm or something from those two. But so he's custom made those. So the question is, what I'm getting at is like the Mark 8 and the Mark 10 and the Mark 11 and the 12 and the 13 and the 14 and all of these here that aren't here yet. The question has been, when are they going to make them? So like, for instance, they have 1 through 7 and then the Mark 9 and then the Mark 15, and then the Mark 20. So all those in betweens, they're suits that are supposed to be there. The Hot Toys hasn't made yet. So the fear there, about a year and a half ago, the fear was, are they done? Is Hot Toys not going to make any more? But then they also started making the diecast. They started cranking out the diecast. And Hot Toys always announced, when they first announced they were going to start making diecast figures, the one that they said they were going to make diecast first was the Mark 17 Heartbreaker. The Mark 17 Heartbreaker came out as a plastic piece, though. It did not come out as a diecast. However, the first diecast advertisement was featuring the Mark 17 Heartbreaker, which never was made as a diecast. So the first diecast, if I remember correctly, was the War Machine. I may be wrong there, but I think the War Machine Mark II was the first diecast. And so the diecast pieces started coming out pretty rarely. Now, all of the Iron Man suits are only coming out in diecast. And so my opinion now is that all of these other suits, for instance, the Mark 9 and the Mark 20 and the 21 and these other suits, they have in them elements of the Mark 7. Mark 7 was the second to the last diecast of the original 7 to be made. They haven't made the Mark 1 yet as a diecast. They just announced the Mark 7 a handful of months ago. It hasn't been released yet as a diecast. So it is now my opinion that the Mark 7 diecast will now be used to make the other pieces that haven't been released, and or even re-release the Mark 8 and the Mark 21 and all these others that have already been made in the first place. So now it's not a question of if, I think it's a question of when. Because if Hot Toys is able to make these and charge $400 for them, and I have a hard time believing it's costing them $400 to make these, they're making money hand over fist. And as long as you and I are willing to spend that on those, they're going to keep making them. Now, there's not a lot of you that are like me who buy them all, and I can respect that, you know, because I see these collections, these beautiful collections that people have, where they just have one, you know, 2 or 3 of a franchise. You know, they'll have the Marty McFlys, and then they'll have a couple Predators, and they'll have Batman and Superman, and they'll have some of the Iron Man and some of the Star Wars figures. And so in those instances, you're only going to want to get an Iron Man that appeals to you, like you were saying. You know, the Mark 50 is going to be your centerpiece for that, and you might not even get those others. One of the things that I joked with the Hot Toys team when the Mark 85 was announced, I was like, are you kidding me? So I'm going to have to buy Mark 51 through 84. Why Mark 85? Is there going to be another 30 or so pieces? Or 35 pieces? Are you kidding me? If they were to release one every month, which isn't even really the case, they're not even doing them every month. It's like every 2 or 3 months we'll get an Iron Man. So if they did one every, if they did 5 a year, 5 a year, it'd be 10 years cranking these out to get them all. So of course they're going to keep cranking them out, right? And I'm going to keep buying them. I don't know. I don't know. Is it a sickness? Is it an obsessive disorder? OCD? Is it for the love of it? Oh my God. The head sculpts are amazing now. The Nebula head sculpt is off the charts. When you look at some of the older ones, and every now and again you'll see one that isn't necessarily dead on, but it's pretty rare. And that Mark 85 head sculpt with Tony Stark, that looks so much like Robert Downey Jr. I mean, when you look at the original Mark IV, or I think what was it called, the Armor Test Workshop or something to that effect, you get an impression of who it's supposed to be, but it didn't look dead on like him. Man, it looks dead on now. It looks something like straight out of Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, which is what I like about it. You know, when I look at these figures, you know, I'm transported back to a moment in time of where I watched that movie, and you know, I'm always messing with them. Like I was telling you guys earlier, I was in there messing with my Mark 43 earlier, and rearranging these, and it's fun. It's fun, and it's fun to chase them down. Like I need to get an old Hulk from Avengers, and so I'll always be out there looking for those. So in those instances, you guys that have been collecting these longer than I have, who have those other pieces, you know, you're really ahead of the game. You'll always be ahead of the game in that regards. And those of you that are getting into it now, welcome to the hobby, and it's going to really be something I hope that you really enjoy. And don't get frustrated when you can't find what you're looking for, because it'll be there sooner or later. And don't think that there's not going to be one out there for you to get, because there is. And collect what you want. It's the hardest thing to do, to buy something that you think you want, and then when you get it, you don't have a connection to it, and you just dropped over $200 on it, you know. And then that's when you have to start saying, Well, I wish I hadn't spent that $200 there, because I'd really want to spend it on an X, you know, a Deadpool, or an Iron Man, or a Black Widow, or Stormtrooper, or whatever. You know, one of the things that I really enjoy are my astromechs. Really love my astromechs. I will buy every single astromech that Hot Toys or Sideshow makes, because I love them. And even though I'm really torqued off at Star Wars right now, I'm still going to buy an R2D2. I've got the R5D4s, you know, all of them. And that's my Star Wars collection. I've got the C3PO, and I have the Rey. And the only reason I have Rey was because, in order to be able to buy the BB-8 originally, the Hot Toys BB-8, you had to buy Rey. And so I have the Rey, but I have absolutely no passion for her. I even changed out her body to give her a nice Bison body, and there's just nothing there. I just don't feel anything for the figure. Big fat zero over it, and that's what's really, you know, that's what's tough, is having a figure that you're just looking at and you're like, why do I even have that? I don't even like that, you know, and I don't even know. I would probably get rid of it if I wanted to. And then you end up with figures that you absolutely love, no matter what. I couldn't believe how much I actually liked this guy. He, you can buy him new, still, from Big Bad Toy Store with a kickback. I think he's like $300 now, and I think I paid $450 or something for him, brand new, and I love him. And I think the reason I like him is because his shape, even though, and if you watch my video, you'll on my unboxing of him, you'll notice that everything in there is just bigger than anything else. So in the back where the batteries go, and in the arm where the batteries go, the compartments are just bigger. So it's almost like, as the Hot Toys design team was designing these, I imagine they go through using 3ds Max or something to that effect to do the drawing of these their figures. And it's almost like, what I think what happened was, and I may be totally wrong, but this is just my theory, they have like a base that they make these figures off of. Like, here you go, boom, just upload the Mark IV and go from there. And so they took the Mark IV, and then they just started adding the little things that made it different from the Mark IV, or whatever figure. I'm just using the Mark IV as a perspective. And the Mark IV is 12 inches tall. And this guy is 16 inches tall. So I think what happened, and it's my opinion, because of the reason that the battery compartments are larger, is they just took their 3ds Max drawing and just said, "Whoop," and just stretched it out, which stretched out everything, including the compartments for the batteries. So I said all that to say this: because he's bigger, and I mean bigger in every area. His calves are bigger, his thighs are bigger, his arms are bigger, his chest is bigger, his waist is bigger. Human in regards to his build, you know what I mean? And anytime you search YouTube or Facebook and you see all these little videos of dogs with kittens, or cats with puppies, or animals that are normally predators, when there's another little baby there, they treat it as a baby. And it's like an ingrown natural instinct to us, to when we see a child, you want to take care of it. And when I see Igor here, I look at him and I'm thinking, that's a little kid, you know, and I just want to take care of him. And so I love my Igor because, and I think that's what it is that appeals to me on him, is because he looks like a little human. And it brings out that natural instinct to want to protect something that's defenseless. You know, I don't think little kid. I think Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth. You know, I think that one down. When I look at this, I'm thinking, that's Igor. Love this guy. Here, where are we at? Junior retires. Robert's out. America, but I think Robert is out. And not because for any reason other than just because he's been doing 10 years. I think he's just tired of the character. I mean, he's a professional. He's an actor who really just puts his passion and soul into his profession and giving us all these amazing characters that he's been doing for the 30 plus years that he's been an actor. And God bless him. He has been a perfect fit for the Tony Stark figure character, and we're going to miss him. And I respect him if he's done and out, but it'd be nice to see if he just goes out, just retires and doesn't get killed. So I hope that's the case, because it would be neat to maybe see him like as an old man, Tony Stark, in 10 years or something at the MCU 20 anniversary or something along that line. But he really was the beginning of this. He's like the godfather of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. 2008 Iron Man, I believe, was the very first one. I think that's where we count that. I think it starts off with Iron Man and then Hulk, Edward Norton's Hulk, which is actually part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then I think Captain America, isn't that how it goes? So he's the godfather of it all. Do I think we're going to get War Machine Mark 5 or Mark 4.5 and the modified Hulkbuster? They just released the first look at Mark 6, and I hate it, to Iron Man vanished. I think that image of that Mark 6 is baloney. I think somebody photoshopped that. And the reason I say that is because it's not from a credible Hot Toys source. And I'm in touch with a lot of the Hot Toys guys, and I haven't seen a single Hot Toy official image or unofficial image from one of the Hot Toys people that shows that figure. So I'm going to say it's fake news. Now, I would hate to have that bite me in the butt later, but I feel pretty confident in saying that I don't think that Mark 6 is the real Mark 6. I would love it if they made the War Machine Hulkbuster, because Lego kind of threw that at us. A few weeks ago we were joking about, if you want to keep a secret, don't share it with Lego. Lego seems to have been revealing a lot of things over the years first, before anybody else. And they've shown us that Lego War Machine Hulkbuster, more or less. And that doesn't mean that they'll make one, or that will even be in the movie. We're kind of anticipating that it's going to be. So it looks like there's going to be possibly 3 War Machines in the movie. We'll know more in a few weeks, right? What are we down to now? 20 days? Oh my God. Less than 3 weeks. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. It's exciting. I think this movie's going to break all the records. I don't think there's going to be 3 hours and 8 minutes or something, plus all the previews before that. So the movie I'm going to is at 10 o'clock at night. They'll probably start running the movie at 10:30. Means I'm going to get out of there 11:30, 12:30, 1:30 in the morning. I'm not going to get home to 2 o'clock in the morning. Sheesh. And that's on a Thursday night. I had to get up and go to work Friday morning. Oh my God. I'm going to be dead to the world. So yeah, I think there's going to be a Mark 5, of course, and a Mark 6, because I'm really trying to keep my head out of the previews. I'm really not watching any of the trailers. I've seen the first trailer. I think I may have seen the second trailer, but I don't want to watch any more, only because a lot of times Hollywood ruins the movie in the trailers, and I'm pretty aware when I'm watching a movie or a television show. It's rare for me to be caught off guard, and I really enjoy it when I am. When I watch a movie like The Curve, an old movie from I think the 90s, or the movie The Usual Suspects, or when Pulp Fiction first come out. When I'm watching these movies and I'm caught off guard and I didn't expect the ending, or I didn't see what was coming around the corner, I really dig that. But a lot of times I'm watching a movie or a television show, and I'm not surprised the way the plot is going, or who the victim is, or who the bad guy is, or what's hidden in the box. It's rare for me really to be surprised along that lines. So when I am, I'm really enjoy it. So the last thing I need is to watch too many trailers, because then I've totally put the whole movie together. And I don't want that. I want to be immersed by it. I want to escape when I'm watching the movie. I want to sit in my chair and be transported into the movie. I want to be part of the movie. I want to feel like I'm fighting with them or for them or against them. And that's what I want to experience. And that makes it difficult. But it looks like there's 3 War Machines that are coming out. And one of those, I'm assuming, is a type of a Hulkbuster. So, yeah, I think we're going to get them. When is the question? And how much is it going to cost? And are we going to get these little suits that they've got? And again, I've tried not to examine them. I just looked at a picture real quick and let it go in and out of my mind, because I still want to be in awe when I actually see the suit on the big screen. I don't want to have studied it so much so that when it happens on the big screen, I'm like, yeah, I've already seen that. I don't want that to be the experience. You know, I'm going to the movie, I'm investing 3 hours into this movie specifically, or 3.5 hours when you count the trailers. And I want, for that entire time frame, I want to be transported into that movie. So yeah, they're going to happen. It's going to be cool. And I love War Machine. I've got them all. I've got them up on the top up there, in all versions of the Mark II, even the screen scene and the not screen scene Mark II that they came out with. Or 4 War Machine suits if you count the Quantum suit. Yeah, are they going to make all those? Are we going to get? You know, there are times when, like the Iron Legion, there's 5 distinct suits, and if you watch my unboxing video of that, I discuss what it would take in order to change them out. And I've only seen 2 people successfully make the others, where they've made a 1, a 2, a 4, and a 5 from the 3. And Hot Toys never made the others, and I have no idea why they didn't make the others. I would have bought them, and I think there's several of you out there that would have as well bought the other 4. They were only like $185 or $195, something like that, when they first came out. And I love my Iron Legion. I've got the Iron Legion. I got the Ultron Mark 1. I got the 2 busts. One came with the Mark 43. Another one came with I think the Ultron Mark 1. And so essentially I have what I have of that. But I would love to have the 1, the 2, the 4, and the 5. And they showed us the 1 when they were showing the Iron Legion. They showed us the 1, and they never released it, or the 2, or the 4, or the 5. And it makes me wonder sometimes, does Hot Toys expect us to customize those? Because as I go on in my unboxing video, the paint that they use is like a pearlized white paint. It's not easy to duplicate that, and I'm certainly not capable of doing that. And like I said, I've only seen 2 people that successfully changed those out. The numbers and the color markings on it are all over the place. It's like 15 different places on there that you would have to change out to do that too. And when they went on sale, you could buy those for, like, I think they had $75 off on them eventually. So you can get them for like $125. And I was going to buy them, 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 I was going to buy the 4 other pieces, even though they're all Mark IIIs. I was just going to buy them, and I didn't, and I kind of regret it. And that's the question with these quantum suits, or whatever they're being called. Are they going to give us all of them, or are they just going to give us one of them, and then they would expect us just to take the suits off and put them onto their different bodies to make up the others? You know, to put it onto a Black Widow, put it onto a Captain America, and you know, the suit only comes as an Ant-Man suit or something, or whatever, or an Iron Man suit. I don't know. That's going to be a question. You know, one of the things is that they talked about was what was referred to as the rescue armor. We've seen Pepper Potts wearing in one of the Instagram photos that she, what's her name, Gwyneth Paltrow, posted of her wearing like this purple Iron Man suit. And a lot of people speculated that that would be the rescue suit that they used to go save Tony with. And, you know, how many people would be wearing a rescue armor suit as well? So are they going to make those? Are they going to have a Rocket Raccoon rescue suit and a Bruce Banner rescue suit, and all these guys are doing that too. If you go down to every single possible uniform change that they could have in this Endgame movie over a 3 hour period, it could really be a lot. And I don't know how many of them Hot Toys are going to make. And then Hot Toys sometimes makes this insane decision, and I don't know whether it's their decision or if it's the licensor's decision or the actor or actress's decision. For instance, Kate Blanchett's Hela. Why in the world didn't we get a non-helmeted version of that with her dark eyes? I mean, for real. I love the helmet. I love it. But I want that also. And we didn't get it. And I don't know if we ever will get it. Or like Mantis. How come there hasn't been a Hot Toys Mantis? Juggernaut. Holy cow. Make a freaking Juggernaut. They haven't done the Steel yet. You know, they haven't made Teenage Negasonic Warhead or whatever her name is. I mean, here's all these serious opportunities for them to make figures, and they don't. And I don't get that. I really don't understand why they don't make some of these figures. Yellow Jacket. I have a King Arts 1/9 scale Yellow Jacket, and I want my Hot Toys Yellow Jacket. They showed us one years ago. Never made it. And I don't know what the problem is with that. So it just doesn't make any sense. The Vulture, another one. They really need to make a Vulture. I would hope that Michael Keaton would be pressing them for that. Crank them out. You know what I mean? I haven't watched the Traders Buzz. Yeah, I know, right? I love the Traders. I haven't watched the Traders either. Infinity War didn't surprise me. Yeah, except for the ending. Yeah, same thing. You know, pretty much had a pretty good idea of what was going on, but the ending did catch me off guard. You know, we're going to talk about stuff like that, by the way. I can't imagine that you would be watching today if you haven't seen these movies. So I really don't need to tell you spoiler alert, but I'm going to throw some spoilers out there right now. So if you haven't seen Infinity War and you don't want to hear them, put your fingers in your ears right now. But yeah, like when Thanos says to Thor, "You should have gone for the head." Jeez. Man, oh man, oh man. I really thought Infinity War would be the end. I didn't expect it to be a continuation, and I certainly didn't expect them to do this and what they did. Holy cow! Thanos is an ass. He's a complete ass, man. I do like the fan theory of how Ant-Man was going to kill Thanos. Did you see a response as to why that wouldn't work? And essentially, they turned it around the other way. They said Thanos would use one of the Infinity Stones to read Scott's mind and know that he was about to do that to him. And so Thanos would then essentially shrink himself and do the same thing to Ant-Man. And so that would be the end of Ant-Man and his theory. He's going to kill Thanos by expanding himself out of him. So I thought that was interesting. And when I first heard that, I was like, "Oh, that makes sense. That's a pretty good way of doing it." But then I seen, yeah, really just do that, just like you did with the Vision. No, yeah, or just like you did when the Guardians were trying to attack him and really altered their reality, turn them into ribbons and whatever else. Tamaj, how you doing, man? Do I have the Thanos hot toy? I have the original Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Was it Guardians of the Galaxy 2? Guardians of the Galaxy Thanos. I have on order the Infinity War Thanos, which some people have told me they've received announcements that it's coming. So mine should be here probably within the month, I would expect. So I have paid for it, or well, I have not paid for it. I have ordered it, and as soon as they tell me to pay for it, I'll pay for it, and it's coming. But I have the original Thanos sitting on the throne, which was from one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I think it was the first one. And he's actually differently scaled than the new Thanos, because they were still fleshing him out. There's actually two that played that Thanos in all the end credits, or the pre-credit, like I think of Avengers, it was a pre-scene to Avengers with Thanos. they're still fleshing them out. I think Josh Brolin actually did that one, but they hadn't really gotten to the point of where he was. So, of course, obviously in Infinity Wars, they had solidified where he is, and the Infinity War Thanos is taller than that Thanos is in Guardians of the Galaxy, sitting on the throne. So I'm still happy to have him on the throne with his armor, and he works for that purpose, if you will. But I won't stand him up, and he comes with two pieces for his I don't know what you'd call it, his lower armor that covers his body. A folded up one for sitting on and a flat one for standing up. And of course the flat one will never get used, always going to be sitting down. But yeah, of course, I've got the Thanos coming. Being here in the United States, we're the last people to get any of those figures. So hopefully he'll be here in the month. Let's see, Han says, I started the road to Endgame. Oh yeah, what did you now, so evidently there's two ways of watching this. One is watching them in what's called air date, which starts with Iron Man and then Hulk and then I think Captain America. And then there's other people who are saying that you need to watch Captain America first and then watch Captain Marvel next and then move on to, I think, Iron Man after that. And I disagree with that. I say watch them in the way that they came out in the theater. Because even though Captain Marvel takes place in the 80s, and even though Captain America takes place in the 40s, they fast forward to now. You know what I mean? So if you watch them in the chronological order by date, in the fast forwarded portions of it, it really doesn't necessarily add up. For instance, the end of Captain with Nick Fury or whatever, you know, and you're like, who the hell is this? Nick wasn't introduced anywhere. Same thing at the end of Captain Marvel. And again, I imagine all you guys have seen these movies. So again, if you haven't seen them, put your fingers in your ears because we're going to do a spoiler here. At the end of Captain Marvel, you know, she shows up there with the guys after Infinity War. So, you know, here's scenes that if you haven't watched them all, they're not necessarily going to add up because you don't know who these other characters are. You know, where's Fury? Who the hell's Fury? You know what I mean? Who are these guys that she's even asking? You know what I'm saying? You really don't get all of that by watching them in what people are saying is the correct way of doing it because of the chronological time frame that the movies happen in. So I still think watch them in order. So I'm curious how you are doing it. I was going to do that. I was going to start watching them last night. I ended up watching the Orville, which I'm really digging the Orville. I'm not watching Star Trek Discovery currently, and I'm a huge Star Trek fan, but I am loving the Orville, Seth MacFarlane's Orville. Love it. I'm on season 2. I'll be caught up to where they are soon, and I bought them on YouTube and love them. Absolutely love them. Love them, love them, love them. And they have, I don't know if you guys are Star Trek fans, it's executively produced by Brandon Braga, who was one of the big wigs in the Next Generation and DS9 and Voyager and Enterprise. And it was one of the episodes was directed by Jonathan Frakes, who started off as what was his name? The ex-commanding officer, the executive officer on the Next Generation, right below Picard, and then he started directing episodes and movies, and so he directed one of the Orville, and it also has Robert Picardo in it, who was the holographic doctor on Voyager, and it has John Billingsley, who was the Dr. Phlox from Enterprise. So the Orville has the fingers or the blessing of Star Trek in it, which is enough for me. It's not Star Trek, but it has that Star Trek feel, and it's got the fingers of Star Trek intertwined in it, which is really nice. So if you're a Star Trek fan, I recommend the Orville. Definitely check it out. And if you happen to like science fiction and you don't know anything about Star Trek, it's great because it's not Star Trek. It doesn't take place in the Star Trek universe. It doesn't have United Federation of Planets. It is not Star Trek in that regard, but it has a Star Trek feel to it. You know what I mean? It's like a fan show that was made by people who love Star Trek, but they weren't making a Star Trek show, if that makes any sense. So check them out. But yeah, I was going to start watching those last night, and I will probably start catching up on them today. The theory is if you started on Friday night watching one of the movies, you'll end up watching Captain Marvel on Wednesday, and then Thursday be able to go watch Endgame and totally be, if you watch one every night, because there's 22 movies. And so yeah, it's cool to see someone started doing that. Today, 25th April, new release. So what's your favorite MCU movie? Wow, my favorite MCU movie. That's tough. I really like Thor Ragnarok, which a lot of people put a lot of hate on, and I don't know why. I think what happened with that was, if you remember, people started hating on Star Wars, and then people started hating on DC Universe, and it was because they sucked, to be very blunt about it, and I hate to say that, but they just weren't what was going on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so people were posting that. The Rotten Tomatoes reviews were coming up saying that these movies were not very good, and there were people who are diehard fans of Star Wars and the DC Universe, the DC Extended Universe, and they just thought that people were picking on these movies and just saying that they weren't very good when actually they were, was their opinion, very good. And so what happened was, I think what happened was, there ended up being an anti-backlash on Thor Ragnarok because the people who were huge DC Extended Universe fans and Star Wars fans decided to take it out on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, Thor Ragnarok isn't the best movie, but I really like it because I don't know why I really like it. My favorite scene in it, and again, here comes another spoiler. My favorite scene in it is the Rainbow Bridge scene, where Thor is literally fighting with his sister, and she says to him, "Tell me again, brother, what is it you're the god of?" And then he flashes out and he sees his father, Odin, in where is he at, Valhalla? I forget where he is, and you know, he tells him, you know, he says, "I lost my Mjolnir." And he goes, "I didn't give you that for your power. I gave that to you for you to, you know, to find yourself, and you didn't need that." He goes, "What are you, the god of hammers?" And so he comes back to where he is, under, you know, being confined by Hela. And she says again, "Tell me again who you're the god of." And then the lightning strikes, and the music kicks in from Led Zeppelin, and he commences just seriously kicking some serious ass on the bridge. And Loki says something like, hit her with a lightning bolt." And he's like, "I just hit her with the mother of all lightning bolts and didn't do anything." I mean, that is probably, I could watch that scene over and over again and not be tired of it. It's just an amazing scene. It's just, that scene right there is what was lacking from Captain Marvel. At that moment, just thinking about it now, my skin started crawling, my adrenaline started pumping. I was like, "Hell yeah! Kick them fucking, you know, get in there!" You know, I was rooting for him. I really wanted that, and it was exciting to see that, and to watch him get revenge, and to wipe out the army, and to unify the guys that were helping them, and them winning the battle and overcoming the adversaries. And it was what I call the hell yeah moment. And in Captain Marvel, it never happened. The moment that we should have had it, the hell yeah moment in there. You know, when she totally things up, when she goes fly, that should have been, that's cool. Really? That's from poor writing or poor directing or poor acting. So I enjoy the whole aspect of movies. I enjoy the whole magic that comes around that. Again, I want to be immersed in that. So I get a kick out of finding the inconsistencies or a mic boom come out of the nowhere. We're seeing a shadow of a crew member pass by. It's not real. But at the same token, if I'm when there's not that connection, there's a problem. And that should never be the problem. You should be immersed in it so much so that you want to believe it's real, but you still want to enjoy seeing that mic boom come in there or that shadow pass by to remind you, it's just a show. So I would have to say probably Rock is one that I don't hit tie in it, where he's like recapping what's going on. I lost my sitting there telling him what's going on, and the dude down there, he's like, yeah, Bob, big deal or whatever. It's just so funny. There's all these little clever quips in it, or like the banter between Thor and Hulk, or when Valkyrie shows up, make a Valkyrie figure already. Come on, what in the world? So what's your favorite MCU? Simple Soda. The new Iron Man Mark 50 Cosbaby on Hot Toys website is showing a new nano booster like feature that might pop up in Endgame. Oh, that'd be cool. Buzz, do you own any of QMX's Star Trek figures? I would love to, especially because I love Star Trek, especially the Next Generation. Everyone has, I would say that everyone has a Star Trek they relate to. Same thing with Superman and same thing with Batman. They are multi-generational franchises. So every generation has a Superman, every generation has a Batman, and every generation has a Star Trek. And my favorite Star Trek is The Next Generation. I like all the Star Trek, except for the Discovery. I have not seen a single Discovery episode. And I'm not too thrilled to, but I also was resistant on Enterprise when it first came out, and I fell for it later, much later. So I would really love to get those QMX Star Trek figures. They look pretty good. They're not dead on. The sculpting doesn't appear to be perfect, but I would love to have those, and I wish I did. Did you get any of them? Seen those. I've seen the Picard and the I think Data also is out there. They look really awesome, and I wish that I had the room and the money to get them, because I certainly would. America, I don't mind watching them like that. Everything makes sense. It stacks up. Well, yeah, refreshed, I guess, right? So it's not like it's new to you. But to recommend to somebody who's never seen the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would not recommend watching him in order. You're not really, you're now watching things to be reminded of what happens in the movie. Like when he's going through all the different shields that are there, and before settling on one that he wants to carry, or like his clever quip where he says, "I knocked out Hitler 1,000 times." That's what really, you and I, we'd be watching them, be reminded of these things. But to tell somebody who's not seen them all, or have only seen a few of them, that they should start with Captain America, I disagree with that. I think you should start with Iron Man and go from there. Thor Ragnarok was my favorite too. Yeah, that's right. Honestly, I don't like Thor Ragnarok all that much. I prefer the first Thor movie. It's pretty underrated. And you know what? I have yet to see Thor Dark World, or whatever the second one was. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know how I skipped that one. I haven't seen that. And I have forgotten a lot of the first Thor. So yeah, I need to watch these all again just to be reminded of all of those things. And obviously, the odds of there being very much play to those scenes in these new movies are pretty slim to none. But it's fun to watch them all, to be reminded of the 10 years that we've invested in these 22 movies that you and I have helped develop into this. I mean, we made these. Really, if we didn't go out and see these movies, if we didn't spend money on these figures, there wouldn't be 10 years worth of movies. They'd be long time dead. These would be so dead and buried that people would be like, remember that Iron Man movie that came out? Oh, wasn't that a joke? No, the movies were great, and we spent money on them, and we love going to see them, and we are enthusiastic, and that's why we keep getting them. And as long as they maintain that same formula, we will keep doing that. You know what I mean? But yeah, the Rainbow Bridge scene was amazing. Such a beautiful character moment. I am not kidding you. There's so many characters that again, what's his friend who used to guard the entrance where he had to my memory slips me, but in order to be able to use that teleporting thing, Stormbringer is able to do that now. I forget what it's called. What's his name? Heimdall? Where's our Heimdall figure? Where's our Happy figure? You know what I mean? Where are all these at? The Immigrant Song. That's right. That's what really stokes it. That's what really nails the that hell yeah moment. Perfect for that scene. 100% perfect. And then, you know, Infinity Wars. Again, spoiler alert. When the Guardians answer to the distress call, and Thor ends up on the windshield. Rocket's like, oh, wipe it off, or something to that effect. And that whole banter between Peter Quill and Thor and Star-Lord talking like him. What thou'st be doing on my ship, or whatever, you know, I forget what he's saying, and they're like, are you trying to talk like him? Are you mimicking him? No, I always talk like this. You know, it's so funny. So funny. There's so many clever quips in all of the movies, and that really makes it enjoyable, and that's what we love, and that's why we buy the figures. So, what else is going on with you guys? Anything else you want to talk about? I had you guys now for an hour and 45 minutes. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I really enjoy the time we have and talking with all of this and showing my figures. And I'm sorry there's been nothing coming in. There's nothing coming in. I can't make them bring them to me any sooner than they are coming. So I will definitely be here next Saturday, even though I've got no news on anything coming out. Maybe I'll figure out how to darken my Kid Deadpool suit by then, if you guys even care. Other than that, I can't think of anything else. You guys got anything else for me? I'm about to wrap this up, I guess, if for nothing else. What do I think is the reason for the Mark 47 so expensive? You know, a couple of things came to my mind about that. Because I was kind of curious of that myself. One, it's unique. It literally is the exact same suit as the Mark 46 in regards to design. You know, it's this suit right here. Is it that one? 46? Yeah. It's this suit. No difference whatsoever in the manufacturing of these two suits. The Mark 46 from Captain America Civil War and this Mark 47 from Spider-Man Homecoming are the exact same suit. I think possibly is because of the color scheme is reason number one that I've come to the belief of. Reason number two is because it's Spider-Man. So it was a crossover, more or less. Spider-Man is owned by Sony, not Disney, not the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He literally is on loan to us. Same thing with Quicksilver and As Quicksilver was one of those gray area who actually owns them, who doesn't own them. So Fox had utilized the Quicksilver character in their X-Men universe. And so we had Quicksilver, and they killed him off. He was in the ending of was it Avengers? And then, of course, he was fleshed out in Avengers Age of Ultron. So we had him, and they killed him off. But I think it is because those two reasons. One, because he's unique in regards to his color scheme. He looks kind of like the Ultimate Iron Man from the comics in this color scheme. So I think that might be one of the reasons. And the other reason is because he's a Spider-Man Iron Man. So Spider-Man collectors who are only collecting the Spider-Man figures will want him for that reason. So that's my opinion. Other than that, I don't have any other idea why he is so expensive. But he's part of the Spider-Man universe as well, the Sony line of Spider-Man. So that's my opinion. And I may not even be close to the reality of it, but I'm glad to have him. And it's another one of those where, like, sheesh, I wish I'd bought 2 or 3 of them. He does come with the very unique open helmet, which has only been on one other figure, and that was the Mark II Armor Unleashed. So I have made an open helmet myself, but it doesn't have all the stuff inside of it. So my Mark 42, I made an open helmet for it because obviously it as well had been without a body in it. So on my Mark 42 that I have displayed, I made an open helmet. I took the head out of the helmet and cleaned it up. But it doesn't have all the stuff inside of it that this does, or that my Mark II Armor Unleashed does. So that might be another reason of the popularity of it, because of that open helmet. So those are the 3 reasons that I believe could be why he's worth so much money, or people are willing to spend so much money on him, because of those reasons. That's my opinion. As I missed the Mark 47 first time around, I got the Crazy Toys, more like about $40, including shipping. I can't afford the Hot Toys version for $500, right? Even $2,000 is just crazy. It is. You got a point there with the Spider-Man fans, unfortunately. So yeah, I think it's going to be one of those grail pieces that if you didn't get it the first time, if you're ever going to want it, it's going to cost. I think it's always going to be an expensive figure, no matter. Even though, truthfully, right now, there are 3 versions of this exact same suit. And the reason I say 3, because we have the Mark 47, we have, as I was just showing, the original, the Mark 46, and we have, and I think it's even still available to purchase, by the way, the Mark 46 concept. All 3 of these are the exact same suit. Now, the Mark 46 concept does have one very unique piece on it, and it's really minor. It's, I believe, on the bicep. Let me look at it here to refresh my memory. I believe there's like one extra line on the bicep or on the thigh. I don't remember where it is. Other than that, there's no difference in it whatsoever, and I don't even see where it is now looking at it. But there's like one little difference in it, the design of it. But I mean, you can get the same suit. Now, only the Mark 47 comes with the open helmet. But there's a company called, well, on 1/6 Kit, I believe it is, he was selling at one point the extra helmets, and I bought one, and I'm waiting for it to come to me. It has not come. So, I'll have another one of these open helmets, which literally could be put onto this Mark 46. This Mark 46, the paint scheme is a little different on the helmet, but these two, the 46 and the 47, the paint scheme on the helmet is identical. So you can take the open helmet on this and put it on here. Same thing with the 42 and the 43. The helmet's identical. So I could take this 42 helmet that I made here, and if I wanted to, put it on the Mark 43. Because in Avengers Age of Ultron, where the Mark 43 is worn, he steps out of the armor and puts it into sentry mode. And so you could display him, possibly with the empty helmet of him being like in sentry mode in that way. So that is that in regards to that. So you can still get this brand new for whatever it is, $400 or whatever, for this diecast Mark 46 concept art is what this piece is called. Same piece, just not silver. And it's a lot more gold than the real Mark 46. And looking at this, I see the Mark 85, by the way. So the pictures that they've released of the Mark 85, I see a lot of the Mark 46 concept in that. The 46, thank God, I was quick on that one. There you go. Did you get the concept one? The empty helmet is unfortunately still on pre-order since last year. I don't know if it will ever get released. You're talking about just the helmet itself that I was referring to? From like 1/6 Kid or whatever? Because yeah, I'm waiting on it too. I'm like, what's the deal? And keep your eye on eBay. There's a lot of people who scalp and cut these pieces up, break them down and just selling just the hands or selling just the arrows like I was able to get from Hawkeye. You might be able to find that helmet one day on eBay. I doubt it, because I don't imagine too many people are going to break this piece apart and sell it, but it is possible. So yeah, it's one of those pieces that I lucked into as well. I ordered it no matter, because that's what I do. I order these pieces. And then when I seen that everyone's like wanting this piece, I was like, wow, really? Why? And I don't mean why like it's not worth it, because it is. It's a cool piece. But I just didn't expect it to be, what it is. And I've got a lot of the Grails. And I still have a lot of pieces that I don't have that I want, that are obvious Grails. But I've got the Secret Project and the Gunmetal, and I've got the War Machine ones, and I mean the Iron Man Mark 1 suit, and the Ironmonger, and a lot of pieces that to a lot of people are Grails that they are seeking, and I'm happy and fortunate to have them. And I just bought this just because it was what it was. And then like the Mark 46 concept, it was a piece that you would think would become a Grail, and you can still buy it brand new today. So I don't know what it is. They are neat suits. They got all the lights in them everywhere, which are really cool when you light them up. And it's really an attractive piece in that regard. And it's unique because he's silver. But then you'll have pieces like the Mark 30 Blue Steel, which I love the Mark 30 Blue Steel. It's a Mark 33 Silver Centurion, blue and silver. Very unique piece that doesn't appear to get much love. And the Mark 21 gets a lot of love, and it's literally just a Mark 7 painted gold. And the Mark 21 Chrome, oh my God, I really like that piece. And that was definitely one that was never released in the United States, and you had to buy it from the Asian market. And so of course I paid a premium for that, and I'm very happy to have that. That easily ranks as one of my favorite pieces. There's no such thing as a #1 favorite piece, because any piece I'll look at, like I'm looking at my Mark 5 diecast sitting over here, and I'm thinking, wow, what an amazing piece that is. And I could easily just fall in love with it again, just picking it up and spending some time with it. You know what I mean? And that's what's nice about the hobby, is the difference between collecting an action figure and a statue is you can repose them to recreate scenes from the movie the way you want to pose them. So if you just want to display them in a museum, what people call just the museum pose of them just standing there in a static, just standing there pose, hey, there's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes there's no room to do that. But then other times you have the opportunity to recreate a moment in the movie. You know, I have him in this regards, in this position, because he's literally squaring off against Captain America over here. So I have the two of them posed against each other to recreate that iconic scene in Captain America Civil War. So that's how they sit. And that's the beautiful thing about not having a statue, is being able to recreate this myself, you know, to be able to tell that story right here. And there may become a time when I no longer want to display him like this, and then he's just going to get put over there in the line 45, 46, 47, whatever, and just be stuck straight up and down, and not into any moving pose whatsoever. So you know, that's the beautiful thing about an action figure, because you can do this with it, but you can't do it with a statue. If you're buying a statue, you're buying what somebody else interprets, or their realization or reinterpretation of the scene from the movie in their opinion. So here's my realization or interpretation of the scene from the movie right here. So that's what I like about all of this. That's why I like my figures. My action figures. They're not dolls, right? Can I show off the secret project? And yeah, I'll do that right now. Love showing off my toys. Gladly show you those. The neat thing about the, if I remember correctly, the Mark III is the secret project, and the Mark IV is the gunmetal. The neat thing about the Mark III is there's an interview with Robert Downey Jr. at his home, and on the shelf behind him is a secret project. And I was backwards on that. The secret project is the Mark IV. The gunmetal is the Mark III. And so on his shelf behind him is the Mark III gunmetal. And the Mark IV is the secret project. And I love these figures. And they are grails to a lot of people. So literally, they are just a Mark III and a Mark IV. No difference in any of the design of the figures. So this is literally just a Mark III painted in this color scheme, and this is literally a Mark IV painted in this color scheme. And if I remember correctly, and I may be wrong, but I think this Mark III came out before the Mark III came out. I might be wrong here. I need to check my records. But I think this Mark III actually was released before the Mark III was released. And this was really just a money grab over here. So I don't know if this was just because it was a prototype that Hot Toys was doing, or what. But it's beautiful in its simpleness, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I hope the light here is a good representation of it to you. Let me bring it closer to you and lift it up here. I think that should, I think you should be able to see it pretty good right there. But he's an action figure, and he's totally posable, and has all the flaps and everything on him that the others have. And I don't mess with him much. And that is because the Mark III itself is a fragile enough figure as it is. And this then being a Mark III as well has that same fragility to it. One of the neat things that they did on these original Mark IIIs was the way that they did the flaps here. So inside here, these little metal pieces inside here are actual little metal pieces for that. So in a sense, you could almost say this is the first die-cast piece because it contains metal, but it's not. It's not a die-cast piece. It's all plastic. But this is neat. And so everything that the Mark III does, this does. It truthfully is a Mark III. And I really, 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 really dig this figure. And I'm glad to have him. And he's a Grail. And it says silly things on the box, which from my understanding makes him even more valuable. And this is the Mark IV Secret Project. And again, it literally is a Mark IV. So it has all the pieces that the Mark IV comes with. He even comes with a Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark head sculpt and glasses. So the Mark IV armor came with these red and black checked glasses. This guy comes with gray and black checked glasses. And you can either display him with the rockets exposed or without the rockets exposed. And the variances in the gray on this are much more exaggerated than they are on the Mark III. I don't think there's any real variance in the gray on the Mark III. Maybe a little bit on the face mask, but other than that, for the most part on the Mark III, it's all one shade of gray. Whereas on the Mark IV, you have definite differences. And the face mask and the biceps, they're definitely a lot gray, like on the stomach area and on painting differences on this. So it's a more beautiful piece, I suppose would be a term that could be easily used for this. And again, it is a Mark IV, no doubt about it. And as well, it has the neatness, which isn't the case in the newer versions of these suits, the 3 and the 4, of the little metal pieces in there for the flaps in the back, which are really neat. So if you have a chance ever to get one of these original plastic Mark III or Mark IV with the little metal pieces, and even the Mark III die-cast came that way. But the new Mark IVs, the re-release Mark IVs, the one's called Shanghai, and the die-cast ones do not have these in them. So that's the neat thing about these. And I really enjoy these. And there have been people who have made knockoffs where they've taken a Mark III or Mark IV and repainted them. So you could duplicate this in that manner, but I mean, I have all the documents. I mean, I have the boxes that they come in, so I haven't seen anybody that's duplicated a box yet. So not only do I have the figure, but I have the boxes. So they're real. I didn't buy these brand new. I bought them third party, but I don't have any doubt that these are the original pieces at all. I don't have any doubt in them at all. So yeah, these are them, and I love them. Part of my grails. And really, really, really am pleased to have these. Really. Yeah, so you've seen the RDJ interview, exactly. When I seen that, I was like, there's the Mark III Gunmetal. Oh, look at that. And, you know, from my understanding, these were limited. So, back in the day, Hot Toys actually made announcements of certain pieces that they were very limited. Like there's the Mark Six, where they only made like 16 of them, and there's another Mark Six, I think, where they made 3,000 of them. So there was a time actually when they literally were limiting the pieces, and they advertised that, and then they quit doing that, and they only did that just a few times. So I think this is a very limited piece, which maintains its collectability. So if you have a real one of these with the boxes, which is why it's so important to keep the boxes on you guys that destroy or throw away the boxes, you have no proof whatsoever that you have a Mark III gunmetal, or that it's not a knockoff. You have no proof of that. So I have proof that this is a real Mark III gunmetal, and this is a real Super Jet. So it is, guys. A jet. Talk to y'all later. Bye.